From street kid to mafia boss, the dark truth, the point of no return. He wasn't supposed to survive. No money. No family. No future. Just another forgotten face in the streets of Tokyo. But somehow, he became one of the most feared men in the underworld. So what happened? How does someone go from nothing to absolute power? The truth is darker than you think. He grew up with nothing. No support. No safety. Just the cold streets of Tokyo. Every day was survival. Food wasn't guaranteed. Sleep wasn't safe. And no one was coming to help him. But one night, everything changed. A single decision that pulled him into a world he could never escape. A world of power. Of money. Of violence. And once you step into that world, there's no going back. It started in a narrow gap between two skyscrapers in Roppongi, a place where the neon lights don't reach and the air smells like wet iron and old grease. Renjiro wasn't looking for a destiny, he was looking for a discarded sandwich. Instead, he found a man in a $5,000 suit bleeding out against a dumpster, clutching a black leather case like it was his own child. In that moment, the world went silent. He could have run. He should have run. The police wouldn't care about a street kid, and the Yakuza would care too much. But as Renjiro looked into the dying man's eyes, he didn't see a stranger, he saw a mirror. He saw someone else the world was about to erase. He reached out his hand, not to help, but to take. He grabbed the case, intending to sell it for a week's worth of heat and bread. But when his fingers brushed the blood-slicked leather, the shadows of the alley seemed to tighten around his throat. Heavy footsteps echoed against the concrete. Men with cold eyes and suppressed pistols emerged from the rain. In that heartbeat, Renjiro realized he hadn't just found a bag of money, he had stepped into the middle of a war. He didn't know it yet, but the boy who was afraid of the dark died right there in that alley. The man who would eventually burn Tokyo to the ground to keep himself warm, he was just getting started. The weight of wet iron. The rain isn't falling, it's attacking. It drums against rusted air conditioning units and turns the neon signage of Golden Guy into blurred streaks of electric blue and poison pink. Renjiro, 19, huddled under a leaking awning. He's thin, not the lean of an athlete, but the hollow of a stray dog. His hoodie is soaked through, weighing 10 pounds. His stomach isn't just growling, it's a physical ache, a knot of fire in his gut that hasn't seen a real meal in 3 days. He spots it. A discard bag from a high-end izakaya. He moves. It's a feral crawl, eyes darting. But as his fingers touch the plastic, a heavy thud echoes from the deeper darkness of the cul-de-sac. Renjiro freezes. He doesn't breathe. In the shadows, 20 feet away, a silver Mercedes has its trunk open. 2 men in charcoal suits stand over a third man kneeling on the wet asphalt. The man on his knees is Ryuji, a high-level treasurer, his white shirt stained a deep, spreading crimson. The hitman, stoic, late 40s. The boss said you were a brother, Ryuji. Brothers don't skim from the family plate. The hitman raises a suppressed pistol. Pfft. The sound is sickeningly small. Like a finger snap. Ryuji collapses against a dumpster. The hitmen don't look for a witness. Why would they? This is their playground. They toss a black leather briefcase, slick with Ryuji's blood, near the body and turn to the car to grab a tarp. Renjiro's POV, the briefcase. It's right there. It's the difference between a cardboard box and a bed. Between slow starvation and a life. Renjiro's heart hammers against his ribs like a trapped bird. Run, his brain screams. Take, his stomach growls. He moves. He doesn't think. He lunges from the shadows, sliding across the oily puddles. His hands grab the leather handle. It's warm. Horrifically warm. Hey! The hitman has turned around. He doesn't look surprised, he looks annoyed, the way a human looks at an annoying cockroach. He raises the pistol. Renjiro doesn't beg. He doesn't cry. Instead, he stands up straight. He holds the briefcase in front of his chest like a shield, but his eyes, wide, dark, and terrifyingly cold, lock onto the hitman's. Renjiro, voice raspy, cracking, if you shoot me, the bullet goes through the case. Whatever is in here, it gets ruined. Records? Money? You'll have to explain to your boss why you destroyed his property just to kill a ghost. The hitman pauses. He's killed dozens of men, but he's never seen a street rat with eyes like this. Most men plead for their mothers. This boy is negotiating his own execution. The hitman, you know who we are, kid? Renjiro, I know you're the people who own the air I'm breathing. And I'm tired of breathing for free. The hitman lowers the gun slightly. A smirk tugs at the corner of his mouth. It's a predatory look. The hitman, you've got a lot of nerve for someone who smells like a sewer. Drop the case. If you try to run, I'll hit you in the leg and let you bleed out next to Ruji. If you stay, maybe you'll get to see what's inside. Renjiro looks at the body of Ruji. He looks at the blood on his own hands. He realizes that the moment he touched that leather, his old life was deleted. He lets the briefcase drop. The sound of it hitting the puddle is the loudest thing he's ever heard. Renjiro, I'm not running. The hitman signals his partner. Pack him in the car. The chairman likes projects. And this one looks like he's already dead inside anyway. As the trunk of the Mercedes slams shut, the screen goes black. The last thing we hear is the sound of the rain, and Renjiro's steady, rhythmic breathing. He isn't afraid anymore. He's finally found a world where he fits. The ghost soldier. The room is blindingly white. It smells of bleach and expensive tobacco. Renjiro stands naked in the center of the floor, shivering, not from the cold, but from the sudden absence of the layers of filth that had been his only protection for years. A syndicate doctor, wearing a face mask that hides any trace of empathy, rubs a caustic chemical over Renjiro's fingertips. Dr. Sato, voice muffled, hold still. We are erasing your past. No fingerprints, no criminal record. To the Japanese government, you do not exist. You are a ghost. And ghosts don't have rights. They only have duties. The chemical burns. It's a searing, acidic heat that reminds Renjiro of the time he had to huddle against a steam pipe in the Shinjuku subways just to keep his toes from freezing. As the skin on his fingers tightens and blisters, his mind drifts to the only warmth he ever knew. His mother. He remembers the smell of her, cheap laundry soap and the metallic scent of the factory where she worked double shifts until her lungs gave out. He remembers her face, etched with a tiredness that no amount of sleep could fix. She had died in a cramped apartment with no heat, her hand clutching his, whispering, Renjiro, don't let the city swallow you. He never knew his father. To Renjiro, father was just a word for a shadow that left a hole in his mother's life. He had spent his childhood looking for that man in the faces of every stranger on the street, hoping for a sign, a look, a shared trait. He found nothing. Only the cold realization that he was an accident the world was trying to correct. The hitman, Ishida, enters the room, tossing a bundle of black clothes at Renjiro's feet. These aren't the designer suits yet, this is the uniform of a Kuroko, a stagehand of death. Ishida, dress. From now on, your name is Seven. You speak when spoken to. You bleed when told. You've been given a seat at a table most men would kill to see. Do you know the price of that seat? Renjiro pulls on the stiff, black fabric. It feels like a shroud. He looks at his ruined fingertips. Renjiro, loyalty. Ishida laughs coldly, no. Loyalty is what we tell the idiots so they'll die for us. The real price is certainty. The boss pays for the certainty that when he tells you to jump into a furnace, you don't ask how hot it is. Loyalty is just a currency, kid. And like any currency, it fluctuates. Everyone has a price. Your job is to find out what everyone else's is, and make sure yours is too high for anyone to pay. Renjiro looks into the mirror. The boy with the messy hair and the desperate eyes is fading. In his place is a silhouette. He thinks of his mother's grave, an unmarked plot he hasn't been able to afford a stone for. He feels a lump in his throat, a surge of raw, childhood grief that threatens to break his composure. I'm sorry, Mom, he thinks, his jaw tightening until it aches. The city already swallowed me. But I'm going to make it choke. Ishida, move out, Seven. We have a problem at the docks that needs to be made invisible. Renjiro steps out of the light and into the hallway. He doesn't look back at the pile of his old, torn clothes on the floor. The street kid is dead. The ghost soldier has arrived. The first armor. The shop is a temple of silk and quiet power. Renjiro stands before a triple-pane mirror. He is no longer the boy from the alley. He is wearing a midnight black, three-piece suit. The fabric is so fine it looks like liquid shadow. The tailor, an old man who has dressed 3 generations of killers, pins the sleeve with surgical precision. Tailor, most men wear a suit to be seen. You wear it to be felt. It's not just wool, young man. It's a message, I am no longer reachable. Renjiro looks at his reflection. The suit fits like a second skin, but it feels like a cage. He reaches into the inner pocket and feels the cold, hard weight of a heavy payout, more money than his mother earned in 10 years of factory labor. He thinks of her. He remembers her stitching his torn hoodies with trembling, arthritic fingers, her face illuminated by a single flickering bulb. He can almost hear her voice, "Don't let them change you, Renjiro." He closes his eyes. "Too late, Mom. They didn't change me. They erased me." EXT, Shinjuku Ghost District later. Renjiro walks through the same alleyways from Chapter 1. The rain is still there, but now he has a $500 umbrella. He doesn't feel the cold anymore. He doesn't feel the hunger. He only feels the invisible wall. He finds them. Kenji and Maru, his old street brothers. They are huddled over a small fire in a rusted barrel, sharing a single cigarette. They look like gray smudges against the neon. Renjiro stops 10 feet away. The light from the barrel flickers against his polished shoes. Kenji, squinting, "Move along, salaryman. We don't have anything for you two." Kenji stops. He recognizes the eyes. The same eyes that used to look for scraps alongside him. But now, those eyes are like the windows of a high-rise, dark, reflective, and unreachable. Kenji, voice trembling, Renjiro? Is that you?" Renjiro doesn't move. He wants to run to them. He wants to give them the money in his pocket and tell them he's found a way out. But he remembers the dark truth from the meat locker. Everyone has a price. People are obstacles. If he brings them into his world, they die. If he stays in theirs, he dies. Renjiro, voice cold, robotic, Renjiro is dead. He died in the rain 3 months ago. He reaches into his pocket and tosses a thick envelope at their feet. It's enough money to get them an apartment, to buy them a year of safety. But he doesn't hand it to them. He drops it in the mud. "Maru, why are you looking at us like that? Like we're dirt?" "Renjiro, because if I look at you like brothers, I won't be able to do what I have to do tomorrow. Take the money. Leave Tokyo. If I ever see you again, I won't be the one throwing envelopes." Kenji looks at the money, then at the man in the suit. He doesn't see a friend. He sees a predator. He sees the armor Renjiro has built around his heart. "Kenji, softly, your mom, she would hate who you've become." Renjiro flinches, but his face remains a mask of stone. He turns his back on the only people who loved him. As he walks away, his silhouette grows taller against the neon lights, becoming the man on the right side of your thumbnail. He isn't a victim anymore. He is the one who makes victims. And as he steps into the back of a waiting black sedan, he realizes the most painful truth of all: armor doesn't just keep the bullets out. It keeps the heart in. The hunger of the blade. The air is a thick, frozen fog. Rows of silver hooks hang from the ceiling like frozen claws. This is the office of Kaizen, the syndicate's most feared cleaner. He is an old man with hands like gnarled oak roots and eyes that have seen so much death they've turned gray. Kaizen tosses a heavy, cloth-wrapped object at Renjiro's feet. It hits the floor with a dull, metallic clack. "Kaizen, a blade is hungry, 7. If you don't feed it someone else's life, it will eventually eat yours. Pick it up." Renjiro unwraps the cloth. It's a tanto, a short blade, black into a void reflecting light. It's not a decorative piece, it's a tool for the dark. "Kaizen, in the Shikoku Kai, we don't fight like the movies. There is no honor. There is only the total kill. You don't look at a man's face. You look at his carotid, his femoral, his heart. You stop seeing a person. You see a series of weak points." Renjiro, voice steady, "Despite the cold, and if I can't? Kaizen, then you'll end up like your mother, cold and forgotten. The world didn't care about her because she was human. The world only cares about what it can't break." The mention of his mother hits Renjiro like a physical blow. He thinks of her soft hands, now rotted in the earth, and compares them to the cold steel in his grip. A dark realization begins to bloom: kindness is a luxury for the dead. The test, the heavy steel door creaks open. 3 other invisibles, boys Renjiro's age, boys he has shared rice with for the last 2 weeks, are pushed into the room. They are bound and gagged. Ishida enters, leaning against the doorframe. Ishida, one of these 3, sold a shipment of nitrogen, syndicate drugs, to a rival gang. "We don't know which one. But you do, 7. You've been sleeping in the same barracks. You've heard their whispers." Renjiro looks at them. Kenji, who shared his extra blanket. Taku, who told him jokes about the Shinjuku girls. Yuta, who cried in his sleep for his sister. Ishida, identify the traitor. If you're right, you move up. If you're wrong, or if you refuse, all 4 of you stay in this freezer until morning. and the locks don't open from the inside. Renjiro's heart cold starts. He looks at their eyes. He sees the human in them, the fear, the memories, the desperation. He feels the urge to protect them, to be the good person his mother wanted him to be. Then, he looks at the Tonto. He sees his reflection in the black blade. He sees a boy who will die tonight if he plays fair. He walks toward them. He ignores the pleading in Kenji's eyes. He stops seeing Kenji the friend and starts seeing Kenji the obstacle. He looks at their clothes, their shoes. He notices a speck of red mud on Yuta's heel, the specific red clay found only near the Kurozuna docks. The silence in the locker is suffocating. Renjiro feels his soul shivering, trying to hold on to the boy who once fed stray cats. He takes a deep breath, and with a flick of his wrist, he presses the tip of the blade against Yuta's throat. Renjiro, voice cold, devoid of emotion, he's the one. He smells like the docks. He's the obstacle. Yuta's eyes go wide. The betrayal is absolute. Ishida smiles. Ishida, good. You've learned the first lesson of the blade. People are just meat and secrets. To lead them, you must be willing to carve them. As they drag Yuta away, Renjiro doesn't look back. He stares at his hands. They aren't shaking. That's the most terrifying part. He realizes that the dark truth isn't that the world is cruel, it's that he is finally becoming the cruelest thing in it. The glass ceiling. The room is a suffocating mix of ancient tradition and modern greed. 6 Wakagashira, senior captains, sit behind a low mahogany table. They look like statues carved from old money and arrogance. Renjiro stands in the center. His suit is perfect, but to these men, he still smells like the gutter. Captain Tanaka, sneering, you are the silk, boy, but you lack the marrow. You weren't born into this family. You were found in a dumpster like a discarded needle. You think a few clean crime scenes make you one of us? Renjiro says nothing. He has learned that silence is a weapon. He stares at Tanaka with eyes that have seen things these pampered captains have only ordered from their penthouses. Tanaka, the Kurozuna have a red room gambling den in the basement of the Roppongi Towers. 3 of our best squads have vanished trying to take it. It's a fortress of steel and sensors. Since you're so resourceful, you will take it tonight. Alone. Consider it your final exam, or your funeral. EXT, Roppongi Towers, 2 a.m. The rain is a deluge. Renjiro stands across the street, looking at the fortress. He isn't carrying a heavy rifle or a squad of soldiers. He carries a small plastic bag and a burner phone. Internal monologue, Renjiro, they want a soldier's discipline? A soldier follows a map. A street kid knows the map is a lie. Tanaka thinks I'm a ghost? Fine. I'll show him how ghosts haunt. The mission, Renjiro doesn't go for the front door. He doesn't even go for the vents. He remembers being 6 years old, hiding from the police in the city's sewage veins. He descends into the bowels of the building. He moves through the nitrogen lines, the cooling pipes that keep the tower's servers from melting. In a sequence reminiscent of a system quest, he uses a simple chemical reaction, bleach and ammonia, poured into the ventilation intake. Int. The red room, continuous. Inside the den, 30 Kurozuna guards are armed to the teeth, eyes glued to the monitors. Suddenly, the air turns bitter. Eyes begin to sting. Lung seize. It's not a lethal gas, but it's a panic-inducing one. The guards scramble for the exits, their discipline shattering in the face of an invisible, choking enemy. As the guards stumble out into the hallway, blinded and coughing, Renjiro is already there. He doesn't use a gun, too loud. He uses the Tonto from Chapter 3. He moves like a shadow through a cloud, striking only the weak points Kaizen taught him. Femoral. Carotid. Heart. He doesn't feel like a hero. He feels like a butcher. The climax, he reaches the vault. The Kurozuna pit boss, a man twice Renjiro's size, lunges at him with a katana. Renjiro doesn't parry. He drops to the floor, a street fighter's move, and kicks a heavy metal chair into the man's shins, then drives the black blade into the gap in his armor. As the pit boss gasps his last breath, Renjiro leans in close. Renjiro, whispering, the difference between you and me? You were taught how to fight. I was born needing to. Int. Syndicate High Council, Dawn. Renjiro walks back into the chamber. He is covered in a fine mist of blood, but his suit is still buttoned. He tosses the pit boss's gold-crested ring onto the mahogany table. It spins and stops in front of Tanaka. The room is deathly silent. The glass ceiling hasn't just been hit, it's been cracked. Wide cinematic shot of Tokyo at night in heavy rain, glowing neon lights, dense city skyline, moody atmosphere, dramatic clouds, cyberpunk aesthetic, ultra-realistic, 4K, high-contrast lighting, blood and nitrogen. The air is thick with the smell of gunpowder and expensive tea. Renjiro arrives to find the sanctuary shattered. The nitrogen lines, the cooling pipes Kaizen used to hide the scent of his work, have been severed, hissing white, freezing vapor into the room. In the center of the mist sits Kaizen. The old man is slumped in his chair, his hands still clutching his blade, but his chest is a ruin of silver-tipped Kurozuna bullets. Renjiro stops. The world slows down. He doesn't scream. He doesn't cry. He remembers his mother's death, the quiet, slow fading of a candle. This is different. This is a violent extinguishing. Kaizen wasn't just a teacher, he was the only man who looked at Renjiro and didn't see a street rat or a tool. He saw a successor. Renjiro kneels. He picks up Kaizen's blood-stained whetstone. Internal monologue, Renjiro: grief is a luxury. Rage is a fuel. I'm done running on scraps. The shift, Renjiro's phone buzzes. It's Ishida, calling from the syndicate headquarters. Ishida, over phone 7? We heard about Kaizen. The chairman says stand down. We are negotiating a truce with the Kurozuna. Don't move. That's an order. Renjiro looks at the hissing nitrogen pipes. He looks at his reflection in the freezing fog. His eyes have changed. They aren't just cold, they are empty. Renjiro, voice like grinding stones, the chairman wants a truce because he's afraid to lose his profit. I'm not afraid to lose anything. Because I've already lost it all. Ishida, 7, listen to me. Renjiro crushes the burner phone under his heel. He reaches into Kaizen's hidden floor safe and pulls out a ledger. It isn't just Yakuza names, it's politicians, police chiefs, and CEOs. The legitimate world. EXT, Shinjuku crossing later. Renjiro stands in the middle of the busiest intersection in the world. Thousands of people pass him, oblivious. He isn't wearing his black suit. He's wearing a tactical gray trench coat, the color of the nitrogen fog. He makes 3 calls. Not to the syndicate, but to the ghosts he left behind in Chapter 4. Renjiro, Kenji. Remember that money I gave you? Buy every burner phone in Shinjuku. Tell the street kids the war has started. We aren't hitting their gambling dens anymore. We're hitting their bank accounts. We're hitting their families' reputations. We're burning the legitimate Tokyo they hide in. The Shadow War begins. In a montage reminiscent of the most intense tactical anime, we see Renjiro orchestrating chaos. A Kurozuna shipment is seized, but instead of stealing it, Renjiro leaks the location to a rival police unit he's bribed. A corrupt senator supporting the Kurozuna finds his private bank records plastered across every digital billboard in Shibuya. The nitrogen strike, Renjiro personally infiltrates the Kurozuna's main server hub. He doesn't use a bomb. He overrides the cooling system, letting the nitrogen tank's pressure build until the entire digital heart of his enemies literally freezes and shatters. Int. Renjiro's new base, Dawn. Renjiro sits alone. He is covered in frost and shadow. The syndicate calls aren't orders anymore, they are desperate pleas. They realize they didn't train a soldier. They unleashed a plague. He looks at a photo of his mother he keeps in his wallet. Her face is fading, blurred by the moisture of the room. He realizes he can't remember the sound of her laughter anymore. Only the sound of the nitrogen hissing. Renjiro, I'm not 7 anymore. I'm the one who decides who gets to breathe in this city. He pulls a new, dark-as-void suit from a garment bag. The dark truth is solidifying. To protect the memory of the dead, you have to become the nightmare of the living. The architect of shadows. The room is a tomb of glass and silence. There are no weapons on the table. Only 4 monitors displaying the pulsing heartbeat of Tokyo, the power grid, the water filtration systems, the stock exchange, and the port shipping manifests. Renjiro sits in the center of the dark. The blue light from the screens carves his face into a mask of sharp angles. He hasn't slept in 72 hours. He doesn't need to. The nitrogen in his veins keeps him awake, the cold, invisible power of information. Internal monologue, Renjiro: blood is messy. It leaves a trail. But data is like air. You don't notice it until someone starts sucking it out of the room. The blackmail, a high-ranking minister, Ozawa, sits across from him. Ozawa is a man who has ordered the deaths of dozens, yet his hands are shaking so violently he can't hold his glass of scotch. Ozawa, you're a ghost, Kato. You have no standing. The syndicate will crush you for this. Renjiro, voice a low, terrifying whisper, the syndicate is still arguing about who sits in which chair. While they talk, I've already reprogrammed the logic gates for the Tokyo Bay port. Every shipping container, your illegal heroin, the chairman's gold, the city's fuel, is currently locked behind a 256-bit encryption key that I own. Renjiro leans forward, the light reflecting off his cold, dark eyes. Renjiro, if my heart stops beating, or if I don't enter a code every 6 hours, the port shuts down. The city's economy collapses in 3 days. You don't get to kill me, Minister. You have to pray for my health. The suspense, suddenly, the lights in the penthouse flicker. A red warning light begins to pulse on the third monitor. The counterstrike. The syndicate's elite hackers, and perhaps a rival government agency, have found a back door. They are trying to trace his location. The screen shows a map of Tokyo with a red circle closing in on his building. 90% trace. 92%. Renjiro doesn't blink. He doesn't reach for a gun. He watches the numbers climb. He looks at Ozawa, who starts to smile, thinking the boy's luck has run out. 95%. 98%. Renjiro, you think I'm in this building? At 99%, Renjiro taps a single key. The map on the screen doesn't show his penthouse anymore. The trace loops and slams into the minister's own private residence, where his family is currently sleeping. Outside, in the distance, the sirens of a tactical police unit, triggered by an anonymous tip about a terrorist cell, begin to wail, heading toward the minister's home. Ozawa, face turning ghostly white, what have you done? Renjiro, I've turned the city into a mirror. Whatever you aim at me, you hit yourself with. I am the architect now. I don't live in the streets anymore. I live in your secrets. I live in the nitrogen, the invisible air that keeps your world running. The emotional twist, Renjiro picks up a small, hand-carved wooden bird, the only toy he ever had, a gift from his mother. He looks at it, then slowly, deliberately, he crushes it in his fist until the wood splinters and draws blood. He doesn't flinch at the pain. He needs it to remind him that he's still alive. Because as he looks out over the Tokyo skyline, he doesn't see a city. He sees a chessboard. And he has already taken all the kings. The price of the throne. This isn't a high-rise office. It's a tomb of concrete and rust, the very place they used to hide from the rain when they were 10 years old. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and old memories. Maru, Renjiro's oldest friend, is tied to a rusted chair. His face is a map of bruises, but his eyes are full of a pity that makes Renjiro want to scream. Renjiro stands in the shadows. His suit is worth more than this entire tunnel, but in the dim light of a single swinging bulb, he looks smaller than he has in years. On the crate next to him lies a pistol and a thick file of phone transcripts. Maru had been selling Renjiro's movements to the Kurozuna. Maru, voice hoarse, I didn't do it for the money, Ren. I did it because I wanted you to lose. I wanted you to lose so you'd have to come back to us. Back to being human. Renjiro flinches. The name Ren feels like a physical wound. Nobody has called him that in months. Renjiro, you put a target on my back, Maru. You put a target on every man who works for me. In this world, that's a death sentence. Maru, this isn't a world, Renjiro. It's a grave you're digging for yourself. Look at you. You're wearing a mask that cost 1,000,000 yen, but underneath, you're shaking. You're still that kid who was afraid of the thunder. Renjiro picks up the gun. The metal is cold, but his hand is steady. That's the dark truth, the more of his heart he kills, the steadier his hands become. Renjiro, the kid who was afraid of the thunder died. I'm the one who makes the lightning now. Maru, quietly, then do it. But remember this, when I'm gone, no one left in this world knows who you really are. No one remembers your mother's laugh. No one remembers the way you used to share your bread. When you pull that trigger, Renjiro stays here in the dirt with me. Only the boss walks out of this tunnel. A tear tracks through the grime on Maru's cheek. He isn't begging. He's mourning. Renjiro thinks of the times they shared a single bento box under the bridge. He remembers Maru giving him his only pair of dry socks when the winter floods came. He feels a surge of raw, agonizing humanity, a desperate urge to drop the gun, untie his friend, and run away from the suits, the power, and the blood. But then, he hears the heavy footsteps of his own enforcers standing guard at the tunnel entrance. If he shows mercy, he shows weakness. If he shows weakness, he's dead by morning, and so is everyone else he's trying to protect. Internal monologue, Renjiro, I'm sorry, Mom. You told me not to let the city swallow me. But to save the city, I had to become the beast that eats it. Renjiro steps into the light. He leans down and whispers into Maru's ear. Renjiro, goodbye, Maru. Thank you for remembering me. Pfft. The sound is tiny. It doesn't echo. Renjiro stands there for a long time in the silence. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out his mother's faded photo, and drops it onto Maru's lap. He doesn't need it anymore. He can't feel the pain of her memory if he doesn't have a heart to feel it with. He walks out of the tunnel. His enforcers bow as he passes. He doesn't look at them. He doesn't look at the sky. He just buttons his jacket, adjusts his tie, and steps into the waiting car. The street kid is gone. The ghost is gone. There is only the boss. And the boss is very, very cold. The siege of Shinjuku. The district is a labyrinth of fire and rain. The neon lights flicker and die as the power grid, manipulated by Renjiro's code, begins to pulse like a failing heart. A three-way dead zone is formed. On one side, the old guard Yakuza, led by Tanaka, are rolling in with heavy armored SUVs. On the other, a corrupt police task force, armed with military-grade gear, moves in to clean up the mess and take the port encryption for themselves. In the middle is Renjiro. He isn't in a high-rise. He is back in the mud. Internal monologue, Renjiro, they have the guns. They have the badges. But they don't know the texture of the concrete. They don't know which floorboards creak or which shadow has a back door. The trap, Renjiro lures both groups into the Ghost District, the network of narrow, interconnected alleys where he spent his childhood. The police task force moves in with thermal goggles. Renjiro triggers the nitrogen trap. He ruptures the industrial cooling lines he spent months rigging. A wall of thick, white freezing vapor fills the alleys. Thermal vision becomes useless, the nitrogen masks all heat signatures. The police are blind. The Yakuza are panicked. Action sequence, Renjiro moves through the mist like a wraith. He isn't using a machine gun, he's using the environment. He triggers a remote detonated crane, dropping a shipping container to block the Yakuza's retreat. He uses street ghost tactics, local orphans he's paid to drop flashbangs from rooftops, disorienting the police. In a moment of pure John Wick intensity, Renjiro engages Tanaka's personal guard in a flooded basement. The water is ankle deep. The only light comes from the sparks of bullets hitting metal. Renjiro moves with the flow state of a man who has nothing left to lose. He doesn't fight like a soldier, he fights like a predator who knows the terrain better than his own skin. The climax of the fight, Renjiro finds himself cornered by the police captain and Tanaka in a burning ramen shop, the very one that used to chase him away for begging. Tanaka, bleeding, desperate, you're just a rat, Kato. You're burning the whole city just to spite us. Renjiro, I'm not burning the city. I'm just letting it show its true face. This city was built on the backs of people like me. It's time it felt our weight. As the police captain prepares to fire, the architect's final move plays out. The digital billboards all over Shinjuku suddenly ignite with live footage of the captain taking bribes from the Yakuza. Renjiro didn't just fight them with lead, he fought them with the truth. The police units outside, realizing their commander has been exposed, hesitate. The chain of command shatters. In that moment of confusion, Renjiro strikes. EXT, Shinjuku streets dawn. The smoke begins to clear. The armored SUVs are husks. The task force has retreated in disgrace. Renjiro stands alone in the center of the intersection. His suit is shredded. His face is cut. He is bleeding from a dozen places. He looks at his hands, they are covered in a mix of blood, nitrogen frost, and the soot of his childhood home. He has won. The old guard is dead. The police are neutralized. He owns the streets. But as he looks at the rising sun, he doesn't feel the warmth. He feels the dark truth settling into his bones. He secured his future, but he had to burn every bridge back to his past to do it. Renjiro, a whisper into the wind, are you watching, Mom? I'm the only one left. The Throne of Ash. The office is a masterpiece of cold marble and floor-to-ceiling glass. Outside, Tokyo is a sea of electric jewels, but inside, there is no sound except the rhythmic tick-tick-tick of a $50,000 watch and the soft hiss of the rain against the reinforced panes. Renjiro Kato sits in a throne-like leather chair. He looks exactly like the man on the right of your thumbnail. His suit is midnight silk. His hair is perfect. His face is a sculpture of absolute, terrifying power. On his desk sits a glass of 30-year-old Hibiki in a single, battered metal bowl, the one he used to eat scraps from in Chapter 1. It is the only thing in the room that has any soul left. Internal monologue, Renjiro, I used to think that if I climbed high enough, I'd finally be able to breathe. I thought the higher I got, the further away the smell of the gutter would be. I was wrong. The moment of truth, his reflection in the glass stares back at him. Behind him, the door opens silently. His new lieutenant, a man who fears him more than God, bows low. Lieutenant, the transition is complete, boss. The Kurozuna are history. The port is ours. Every politician in the city is waiting for your call. You have everything you ever asked for. Renjiro doesn't turn around. He watches a single raindrop trail down the glass, like a tear on the face of the city. Renjiro, do you know what the dark truth is, Ishii? Lieutenant, that power is the only thing that's real, boss. Renjiro, a hollow, haunting laugh, no. The truth is that I didn't escape the gutter. I just brought it up here with me. Look at this room. It's clean. It's expensive. But it's just as cold as the alleyway. The only difference is that in the alleyway, I had hoped that things would get better. Up here, there's nowhere left to go. The heartbreaker, Renjiro reaches into the pocket of his vest. He pulls out a small, wrinkled piece of paper. It's the last thing Maru gave him before the tunnel, a drawing Renjiro had made when he was 7. It was a picture of a house with a son and a woman with a smile. His mother. He realizes that in his quest to never be nobody, he killed the only version of himself she ever loved. He has all the money in the world, and yet he cannot buy back a single second of the warmth of her hand. He picks up the hibiki and pours a splash into the battered metal bowl. He sets it on the edge of the desk, facing the empty chair across from him. Renjiro, whispering to the empty room, I made it, Mom. I'm the king of Tokyo. He waits for a feeling of triumph. A surge of pride. Nothing comes. Only the nitrogen silence. The cliffhanger, Renjiro stands up and walks to the window. He looks down at the thousands of ghosts still wandering the streets below. He sees a small boy in a hoodie, huddled under an awning, looking up at the bright lights of the penthouse. For a second, their eyes almost meet across the impossible distance. Renjiro reaches out and touches the glass. His fingerprint, once erased by chemicals, leaves a faint, blurry mark. A sign that he still exists. He turns back to his desk and picks up a new burner phone. He dials a number he shouldn't know. Renjiro, this is Kato. Start the second phase. If the city won't give me peace, I'll give it a revolution. He downs the whiskey, and as the amber liquid burns his throat, his eyes ignite with a new, even darker purpose. He isn't just a mafia boss anymore. He's something much more dangerous.